Okay. Next will be Chapman and Chapman.
I'm here, Your Honor.
And I'm here, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Chapman. So, Ms. Chapman, did you get the $1,000 check?
I did, and I actually again prepared something to respond to the papers that I was served yesterday because I did not have time to properly respond.
Do you want more time to respond to the papers he sent?
That's okay, as long as I can have it just a chance to read what I typed out. It's not too long, I think.
Okay, I will hear from you then if you want to read what you typed out.
Due to the untimely service and
Can I ask you to speak up a little bit? You're coming through a little light in the courtroom here.
Due to the untimely service and filing on Bryce's behalf, I did not have time to properly respond. I was stalked and intimidated all day. I agreed to meet Bryce's girlfriend, Maggie. When I arrived to meet her, Bryce's mother was there, which scared me because she has filed false police reports on me, among numerous other things. So I chose to leave as she poses a threat to me, and I also was supposed to be meeting Maggie. They proceeded to stalk me to the dealership where my car was when my friend gave me a ride there to see if my car was done. They oddly enough showed up at the exact same moment, to which she later admits to a police officer after calling them to clear her name in fear that I would be calling on her for her continuous stalking of me and using the children as a pawn and following them home from school that day, causing them even more emotional turmoil than they already are suffering. She admitted all these things to the officer, who advised me to file an anti-harassment order. As far as the things Bryce submitted to the court and the money owed, he did in fact pay the $1,000. Why and how he could come up with the money suddenly when being faced with jail time, I don't know. The receipts submitted for spousal support really got me, because 9 of those receipts were deposits from when Bryce and I were still married and still lived together in the same home. If you look at the date, it says May of 2021. Bryce and I separated July 3rd of 2021. He had to deposit his paychecks into my account because he could not have a bank account of his own at the time. As far as the actual money order receipts he submitted from between the dates of July 2021 and November 2022 are inadmissible to this case, because those receipts were in fact for child support, as I stated last week when we were here. As the spousal support order was never brought to the court or signed by you until February of 2022. So therefore, none of the receipts are admissible. So the spousal support he claims he paid me was also a lie. If you add up the total of all the money order receipts, it also adds up to $2,200, not $1,000 that Bryce stated he paid me. So many of the things said do not add up or make any sense. Bryce submitted his budget/bills, which the court never asked for that. He only shows here the amount of responsibility that he does not have. No rent, no house bills, none of those things. I have all of those, fully support our 3 kids and all of the above. And again, nobody asked for his budget to be brought forth today. If you got a chance to look at the child support income withholding notice submitted, the reasoning for them garnishing such a high amount is due to him being so behind in child support. In total, between this amount owed and child support, he owes a total of $24,000. So them garnishing 50% makes sense now, seeing the paper. The $732 truck payment seems to be his primary responsibility, which is disturbing. And his girlfriend is also the primary on his truck. So if he can't afford his true responsibilities, maybe he needs to give that up. Your Honor asked for pay stubs for the last 3 months to be submitted, which he did do that, but here he also submitted an entire year of 2022's pay stubs, proving yet again what Bryce can and is capable of. And the living the kids and I were used to before I had to leave the marriage because of the addiction issues, mental and emotional abuse, and manipulation that was taking place for years. With all of this being said, and including the fact Bryce is not the one who filed these papers, but his mother and Maggie, in an untimely fashion, nor is it what the court asked for. It was even more lies in the simple fact he could clearly have paid me the entire year I've been dealing with this. I asked that the court order the previous punishment. I also asked that a strict payment plan be put in place. I've wasted enough time, energy, money, and stress with this just for him to sort of do what he has asked. The second jail is brought up and then cause the things that were caused yesterday for me and the kids.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chapman, any response?
Yeah, Your Honor, I wrote up a statement to present. The number 744 or $744.54 is the amount that I have left for the month to pay for food and gas to get to my alternating job sites. I was unemployed for 4 months, September 2022 to January 2023. I struggled dealing with unemployment and was receiving no income those months. To pay the $1,000 to Miss Hancock/Chapman, I had to borrow from my dad, and I will have to pay this back. I handed that check to her on 3/19/23, and I have provided a copy of the money order. The payment of $250 amount I thought was appropriate based off what I can afford. Not to mention $744.54 is amount I have left when I have my children with me and for me to live off of. I try to provide for them what they need when I have them. I have provided a copy of most of my pay stubs for 2021 and 2022 when I worked at J.H. Kelly to show my pay and garnishment including child support. I have also provided copies of my pay stubs from Legacy 6 that show that 50% is being taken from my check, with other money orders that I have paid her on top of garnishment. I am trying to get my life on track. I apologize for all this wasted time with these motions. As I mentioned before, I was properly served to understand that I was causing more problems for myself. I am trying to provide for myself and my kids when I have them. I seem to get roadblocks with Miss Hancock/Chapman, and the rejection of my taxes is an example. I did my taxes this weekend, and any returns I receive will automatically be garnished to my back child support. However, I received an email stating that they were rejected due to Brody being claimed by someone else. In our final divorce paperwork, it is written that I am to claim only Brody. That is $2,000 taken away from my tax refund towards my garnish amount, not counting the effort it takes to refile and explain to the IRS, explaining my rejection and reasoning the rejection happened. On 3/21/22, my mom handed Brittany the copies of my paperwork and reviewing at her home after several attempts of meeting up with her. She was supposed to meet at 12:30 at Target. No show. My mom went to the house and rang the doorbell while the car was there. No answer. My mom walked the kids from the school 2 blocks from the house. Brittany opened the door screaming and threatening to physically harm my mom in front of the kids. I have the police report from my mom as she reported to the sheriff's department. This is the second time that she has threatened my mom, and previous time it was physical. I ask that this is reviewed today as well. I have the statement from my mom that she filed. The officer's name is Officer Mosley, and his phone number is 360-998-0991. If you allow me to, I would like to use the exact words she used towards my mom if you would like to hear it today.
So that may be relevant in another setting. I'm not going to make a decision based on that interaction because we're not here for a restraining order or a protection order. We're here about the financial issues relating to spousal support and the payment for the vehicle.
Okay. I paid the $1,000 and I provided you my pay stubs that show that I'm garnished 50% of my wage, and it shows my February paychecks and my March paychecks of when I started with Legacy 6 and how they are deducted with the child support, and it says that on the pay stub. And it leaves me with, March paychecks, I have $744, and that's not counting my fuel, my food, my anything. I can't even rent a home. I can't even do anything with the amount of money I make doing what I'm doing. And I'm trying to live. I live with my girlfriend, and yes, I have a house to stay at, but that's all I have left is $744 for the whole month. So when I come to the $250 is the amount that I thought was appropriate, that's kind of what I can afford to,
Okay.
put towards it. I have a plan for spousal and car maintenance to be paid at the end of each month in the amount of $250 until the amount is gone, minus $1,000 that I had to pay. So if that $6,400 total brought down to $5,400, I could pay at the end of each month $250 until that's gone.
All right, thank you. Ms. Chapman, any response? You're muted right now. If you want to respond.
Sorry. The 50% garnishment is due to no fault but his own because of him losing his job due to stealing from the workplace. So that garnishment would not be that big if he was not that behind in another form of payments. So to me, none of this is excusable. And as far as providing for his children when he has them, he puts my son in women's clothes that his mother provides for them. And I'm just tired of the excuses and the BS and him saying, I will give her $250 a month. We have heard this countless times. And the stories and the time that I've had to do that, he says that the time that I've had to spend to do this stuff. And no, I couldn't even hold a job because of all of this stuff. There needs to be a punishment. I'm at the wit's end. I mean, this consumes my entire life. And enough is enough. And every time it gets down to the nitty gritty, he comes back with some things to submit that are not even accurate. And then after this, we won't get another payment. And then here we will go again.
So what would you like to see happen?
The previous punishment of the 5 days to be ordered, at least, and then a strict payment plan to be put in place. And if he did not have almost $1,000 truck payment, he could afford more.
Your Honor,
I mean, my bills
I'm ready to move
my
forward.
bills and supporting my children far outweigh his 3 bills that he has. I'm ready to move forward too with my whole life and be done with this. It's so stupid. It's a waste of everyone's time.
All right, Ms. Chapman, I'm ready to make a decision here. On March 15th, I entered a bench order requiring Mr. Chapman to pay $1,000. That was the first thing. The second thing was to provide receipts of all spousal support payments he made. And 3 was to provide 3 months of wage stubs showing the amount that was garnished from his paycheck. He did pay the $1,000. He provided what he indicates as spousal support payments. Those are from 2021. Ms. Chapman disputes whether they are, because apparently some of those are prior to the date of separation, but that will be worked out in whatever credit, if any, those might provide. And Mr. Chapman did provide wage stubs going back more than 3 months, along with the administrative order from child support showing the garnishment. The current pay stubs show that Mr. Chapman makes close to $4,000 a month, but with the garnishments and taxes and so forth in February, I believe, he only took home around $1,627. And he is on track to do that or less in the month of March. I'm going to find that he did comply with my order of March 15th. And so I'm not going to order any jail time. Looking at the income that Mr. Chapman has provided. I guess I'm going to tell you two things, Mr. Chapman. There's an order in place for spousal support of $250 and also for, I believe, a car payment of $250. Plus there's back support that's owing. The last time I calculated that, it was around $13,000. I know you may dispute that amount, and that's something you could bring up to the court at a later time, but that's kind of what the financial situation looks like. The spousal support and the payment for the vehicle are still going to accrue at $500 a month. If you make $250 a month payment every month from here on out, and I would like those payments by the 10th of the month, then I will not hold you in contempt. But I want you to understand that doesn't fulfill your total financial obligation, that if you don't pay $500 a month, every month there's going to be another $250 added to whatever judgment is owed. But if the $250 is paid, then I'm going to find that you're not in contempt. And I'm going to leave things at that. If Ms. Chapman, if the $250 is not paid, then you're free to bring that to court again. Mr. Chapman, the jail time is still on the table. And if there's another contempt hearing, I'm probably going to order that. You have offered to pay $250 a month, looking at your income and the issue with the garnishment. I'm going to accept that is about the limit you can do right now. If Ms. Chapman is aware that you're earning a lot more money than what you're earning right now, then we're going to adjust things and you'll have to pay more. But right now I'm going to order the $250 a month. I hope that will be paid, going off into the future. You're still going to have the judgments against you that will have to be satisfied at some time.
Your Honor, I have a question.
Okay.
In our final paperwork, the spousal maintenance or the spousal support should have ended, or should be ending, and it should have ended already. So that payment should be stopped. So I would be
never started.
I would be making just back payments on that, what I owe up to. It wouldn't accrue anymore.
I also asked for it to
Okay,
continue.
before we argue that, I don't have that paperwork in front of me. Given the back support, you're still required to pay $250 a month.
Yes.
At some point, I assume one or the other of you are going to bring the issue to court to calculate whatever credit is owing. And I suspect there'll be a disagreement, but I'm going to need more information before I can address that. Right now, regardless of how we look at it, you're going to owe $250 a month, whether it's current spousal support or past spousal support. Okay.
Okay, Your Honor. Another question: how will I be served the papers in the future? I mean, with the communication and how things are going, can we plan on doing like a mailing thing back and forth instead of any confrontation?
You don't send your mom.
Ms. Chapman, do you have any objection to Mr. Chapman mailing you legal documents in the future?
You are just required to serve them properly and not use an abusive person to do so, who files fake reports.
All right, sounds like
That's
she's not.
I agreed to meet up with Maggie and then met there and saw his mother in the car and then turned around. That was it. and so I actually went to the courthouse to pick up the papers myself because I know how to do the things. And they weren't scanned yet, so I couldn't pick them up.
All right, Mr. Chapman, it sounds like service needs to be done. If it needs to be in person, you can do it in person. You'll need to do that somehow.
Having the
Use
kids'
a
grandmother
third party to do that.
do it is I mean, come on. And stalking like that, yeah, he could have done it. I've served him personally the whole time.
But Ms. Chapman, you're actually fading away. I'm not able to hear what you're saying.
Like I've served him like the whole time, so he could have served me like he actually stated in the first message about giving me the papers. He said he had papers for me if I wanted to meet him, and then it turned into Maggie, and then all of a sudden I was being blindsided by the person who he knew better than. It was an intimidation thing. And if I'm being clear, so he is supposed to still be required to do the 500 a month and then also the 250. I'll just go pick up the papers. It's okay. You don't have to reiterate.
All right, I've made a decision, and I'll put that in a bench order. And again, if the $250 is not paid by the 10th of the month, that'll begin April 10th. Then I guess Ms. Chapman can bring another contempt. Okay.
Okay, and I think the order was signed about continuing the spousal support and stuff for another year since it actually never started because it never got paid. So I'll pick up those papers today to be clear on that too.
Okay, I understand that. Well, I did enter judgments for the spousal support up until recently. So
yeah, it's been a minute since I think that one was done, so I don't remember anymore.
I'm not addressing that right now.
Yeah.
Want to address that, bring
that's fine. I can go pick all that up. You don't have to. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Your Honor.